Okay, I graded your midterms according to the exact same standard as your argument essay. On the top of your exam sheet, you will see 3 numbers. The first number is for logos, your content, logic. The second number is for pathos, your stories and emotions. And the third number is for ethos, your persona and personal experience, personal connection to your topic. According to the rubric, each aspect has a maximum of 5 points. So the highest score for the highest original score for your exam is 15 points, but it is worth 20%. So I multiplied by 4 and divided by 3. So your highest score is 20. Your highest score is 20. Okay. Do you have questions about the exam? Okay. The only question that nobody chose was question 3. Big surprise. I think I'll keep that one for next year. I'll try it again. Okay. Today we're starting a new unit on research essays. A research essay is an essay that tries to answer a question. And it gives information to help answer that question. So it is a kind of exposition. The main difference between exposition and research is that a research essay should not have your own ideas. All of the ideas should come from somewhere else. Let me ask you a question. If there is something you don't understand, and you want to find the answer, you want to answer a certain question, what would you do? Maybe you might talk with your friends. How would they know? Maybe you might go on decard. But again, how would they know? Okay, so maybe you ask your teacher. But your teacher is also human and also has limitations. Maybe your teacher doesn't know. So next you might try AI. But we know AI can bullshit you, and you don't know if it's true or not. So, okay, maybe you try something more reliable, like Google or Wikipedia. Yes, but those are also written by who knows who, right? Anybody could post something online. Anybody can add to a Wikipedia article. So, how can you be sure that the answer you find is correct? The most reliable way is, of course, to do your own experiment. But some things happen by coincidence. Maybe it works for you, but maybe not for somebody else. So you're looking for an answer that works for everybody, that is true almost all of the time. Where can you find this information? Well, there are a group of people in society whose job is to look for those answers. And when they find those answers, they write a report to tell everybody what the answer is. These people are called academics. So the most reliable source of information you can find is research papers or research books. The main difference between a regular online post or Wikipedia versus a research paper is that for a regular post, you upload it and that's it. But for a research paper, it has to be evaluated by at least one other expert in the field. Most of the time, it's 2, 3, or even 5 experts. These are people who are asking the same questions that you are, or similar questions, and who have also done their own experiments or looked at what other experts have talked about regarding this topic. So every one of these experts is building on the knowledge and results of other experts. Only when this group of experts says that this new research paper is valid, is accurate, will this new paper be published. This process is called peer review. Peer means people of your equal station. So if I'm a researcher, then my peers would be other researchers. There is a whole corner, I don't want to say corner, there's a whole area of the internet full of these high quality research results. But if you use Google, most of the time, Google will not show these to you. You have to know how to look. So the key idea that guarantees high quality research is that there are other experts helping to confirm your ideas. The way that they confirm this, or the way that you tell your readers that you are building on other experts' results, is by including their ideas in your paper. When you write a research paper, you're not just sitting down and then writing. You're looking at what other people have said, you are comparing, you are deciding which ones make more sense, and then you are comparing that information with your own ideas and your own experiments. And your research paper should include all of that, including the relevant work that other people have done. This is what we mean when we say research. Now, you guys are not in graduate school, so I'm not going to ask you to do actual research. I'm only going to ask you to do the first one, to look at what other people have said about this topic. So the research essay will be a topic that you choose, but the content will be entirely what other people have said. Your role, your job as the author, is to choose the ideas that you want to include and to put them in an order that makes sense, some kind of logical order. Sometimes students will ask me, but if I can't say anything, why is it my essay? And the answer is because different people will choose to include different ideas. Different people will put these ideas in different orders. So what you choose and how you put it together will reflect your ideas as the author. Does that make sense so far? Okay. So the purpose of this assignment is, first of all, to get you to become familiar with looking for and reading academic sources, information by other experts and researchers. And the second key thing that I want you to learn and practice is how do you present and record other people's ideas. Think about this. There are 22 people in this class. If I only said, find people's ideas and then put it together, there will be 23 different ways that you record this information. If the entire world's researchers did it like that, it would be very, very confusing. For example, if I read a research paper and the author uses another person's ideas, I should be able to find that person's results. I should be able to find that person's original work and to see if this author is accurately reading that person. And if everybody records the information that they find differently, it becomes very hard to do this. So the second key point of this unit is I'm going to present to you a specific way to record this information. This is called a citation style. Citation means the record of other people's information. Citation styles have been around for hundreds of years, so there is now a very, very specific way to do this. Different fields will have different ways. So like I study literature, the way that my field records information will be different from what you will be learning, which is psychology and social science. And that way is different from the hard sciences like physics or medicine. They have their own way. From what I understand, there are about like 6 or 7 standard citation styles. So you will be learning one of them. If you are interested in going on to graduate school, you may have to learn a different citation style based on what you want to study. So one question you might have is, if I end up having to learn a different citation style, why do I have to spend time learning this one? Well, first of all, when you write your senior thesis, you have to use this style. Secondly, though, even with different citation styles, there is a common principle. There are certain data points that you have to include. The difference is mainly how you present that data. So by learning one citation style, it makes it easier to learn other styles. So for example, again, I'm a literature scholar, so I learned one style. But here at Midterm, there's not a lot of literature going on. So I have found myself sometimes doing research in other related fields, and I have to learn other citation styles. It becomes much easier because I have already learned one. I know what is the information I have to look for. So just like with writing an essay, the point is not just can you hand in a good essay. The even more important point is, can you then write another good essay? And then another one after that. Do you have that skill? Okay, questions so far? Okay, now I want to demonstrate to you what could happen if you are not careful with other people's information. I'm going to do this by showing you a Twitter thread. This is kind of annoying because Twitter used to be completely open. You don't have to have an account and you can just read everything. But after Elon Musk took over, now you are only limited to reading one post. So I can't just show you one page and then keep going. I have to show you 10 different pages. Sorry about that. So okay, here's where we begin. This person is reading an article that we can no longer see, and the article says that in the US, 94,000 veterans have been deported. Veterans are people who used to be soldiers, roaming. Deported means they were sent back to their home country. So first of all, yes, you do not have to be a US citizen to fight for the US. So this is possible. But 94,000 seems like a huge number. So this person feels like maybe this number is not correct. So they look for where this number came from. Okay, so within the article that we cannot see, that author cites another thing, a Berkeley Law report, which contains the number 94,000. Unfortunately, it is not number of veterans deported, but number of veterans deported or at risk of deportation. So maybe they were deported, or maybe they could be deported. So already there is a slight difference happening. Within the second article uses information from a third article, and it turns out this third article says, yes, 94,000, but it has nothing to do with deportation. It's simply how many are not US citizens. So we have gone from 94,000 deportations to 94,000 non-citizen veterans. And we're only on the third one. It gets worse and worse. Okay, so yes, logically speaking, in order to be deported, you cannot be a citizen. But the reverse is not true. Just because you are not a citizen does not mean you will be deported. So 94,000 is the highest possible number of deportations. Okay, so that third article cites another article. This is article number 4. And this article draws on the US Census, but it is a household-based survey. So they're not asking every single person, they're asking every household. So we've gone from 94,000 people to 94,000 possible people within households. And so this is 94,000 people, 94,000 non-citizen veterans living in the US. It does not include veterans living outside the US. So we've gone from 94,000 deportations to 94,000 veterans who are not citizens but who do live in the US. So it includes nobody that the original figure is for. Okay, look. The original idea is 94,000 people were deported. They were sent away from the US. But now we find that the original source is 94,000 people who are in the US. It's completely opposite. And so this person goes to look for the actual information. And according to the information they find, the real number is probably closer to 940 instead of 94,000. Okay, so we have seen that the citation practice, the way that each article uses information from other articles, is very incorrect. But the problem is, this article that he's talking about is not the only article to use this number. The first article that he looked at, it was a very popular article, and 94,000 is a number that a lot of people use. Okay, yeah. So I hope this example has shown you why it is so important to get your information correct. Even if the way that you present that information is a little bit inaccurate, maybe someone else will read your work and their presentation will be a little bit more inaccurate, and then it will get bigger and bigger until you have 100 times difference of numbers in this case. So accurate presentation of research is a very important thing to learn. Okay, so that is the introduction to this unit. Before we get into the details, we have a special guest today. Let me see if he's here. Hi everyone today. Please say hello to Cathy. Cathy is a graduate student at our department, researching English learning. And so she is someone who is actually using the skills that we are going to talk about. She also happens to be my research assistant, so I kind of forced her to come and share her experiences with academic citation and using academic sources. So let's welcome Cathy.
老师今天找我来分享一个学术引用。那学术引用，我觉得最主要的就是你在写论文的时候，有可能现在都很不知道该怎么写，或是很不知道怎么办。我那时候也是，所以你在写的时候，就是你讲的什么，比如说你今天要做 speaking anxiety， 然后你觉得这个东西很重要，或是现在有很多人觉得口说是一种焦虑，会让大家焦虑的现象，那你就是要去找以前的论文有没有在说这件事情。因为你不能直接说哦，我觉得现在很多人都觉得口说是一件很焦虑的事情，这样是一个没有信主的事情，所以你要去找以前的论文是不是有人做过研究，然后研究确实是显示了这件事情。对，那我觉得分享好像也没有那么可以的细节，所以我今天想要用几个我之前在做论文的时候蛮好用的一些网址。那第一个的话就叫 NoteLM， 这些全部都是免费的。好像这个 NoteLM 它就是比如说这是我之前做的一个 ESL 跟 EFL 的观点，对，然后它就会直接跟它会第一个它就是可以有中文也可以有英文这样，然后它就是你直接给它你的论文，然后就会直接帮你讨论。那比如说你今天想问他说，你想问他说什么是 ESL， 就直接在这边打。然后他就会直接引用论文里面的内容，它跟 ChatGPT 比较不一样，是因为有时候 ChatGPT 蛮笨的，他会直接按照他自己的模式跟你讲，那他可能论文里面其实没有讲到这样。那这边的话，他这边就会是他引用到的论文这边，然后就跟你解释。然后我自己是这边右边有一个生成，它会生成一个 podcast， 然后自己骑车的时候，有时候下一节课要报告论文了，然后我还没有读这篇论文，我就会直接用它的 podcast， 然后骑车的时候听，但它全部都是英文的这样。可能要找一下。好，那第二个的话叫做。
很受听，很受听。你要先给问这个词条，然后很受听。
第二个是这个，它应该是念 Science， 然后呢，它这边的话也是可以引用论文。那我就直接用这一篇。 这边来。假设你是要做 speaking anxiety， 随便下载。好，比如说它下面有一些这种数据嘛，对不对？你就可以直接用这个，因为它下面有。好，这边有我之前读到的，好，比如说它这边会有数据，然后有时候你看不懂它在做的这个，数据是在显示什么意思，你就可以直接把它框起来。我觉得这很好用，因为有时候我连这个数据都读不懂的时候，他会直接跟你解释说这个数据是在做什么这样，所以我觉得这两个是我现在蛮常用的。那像第一个啊，它这个notebook LM 的话，它这边解释完之后，右边会有生成。那假设你现在想要跟他们一起讨论，你想要问说，为什么 ESL 跟 ESL 有什么差别？这边有个互动模式，你点下去之后，你可以讲话，你可以跟他们对话，他们会回答你的问题，这样，算是比较有人性化的一个设计。对，那今天为什么你们要做那么多文献的探讨？为什么论文里面还有一个文献回顾，就是要来支持你所列下的观点，或是他们之前做过的问题，你觉得还有哪边是需要补充的地方？所以我们才会需要这些学术引用。你不可以直接说，我觉得 speaking 是一件很重要的事情，因为大家都需要用到口说。你这样讲的话，就是没有一个可以让人家相信的地方。对，好，那还有一个非常重要的事情，就是你不要用 ChatGPT 去问说有什么论文可以被参考，因为我之前试过，然后他会给你假的。他给你讲的，你还不知道它是假的，你就直接用，那你直接用之后，老师会发现，会帮你发现，所以老师
会把你当掉，
对，他会把你当掉。我差点这个不能毕业，就是因为这件事情。对，谢谢。
Thank you very much, Cathy. So this gives you a picture of what someone who is doing research is thinking about. What are they considering when they look for sources and when they use information from other sources? So thank you again. Okay. But just a small reminder, you don't have to do original research. You only have to collect other people's ideas. Original research can wait for when you get to graduate school. Okay, so I hope that gives you a better picture of what the world of research looks like. Now we're going to drill deep into the details. How do you cite information? How do you present references? 参考资料. So reference citations in Chinese, 参考资料引用. And the name of the citation style that you will be learning is called APA 7th edition. So this is, APA 7th is the 7th edition of the American Psychological Association's preferred style. This is the style that is used in English education. And because we here at Untitled EAE are mostly concerned with language education. So this is the style that we teach you. Now, this is what it looks like. In your essay, when you present someone else's information, you have to add a citation tag. This tells the reader that it's not your information, it comes from somewhere else. And the reader can look at that citation tag, and they can go to the end of your essay and look for the full presentation of this source. So the in-text citation will have the surname of the author or authors, 作者姓氏, and the year of publication, 出版人生. Using that information, you go to the end. There will be a lot of sources, and you will find the same names and the same year, and that will be the source that the author is using here. So this is what you will be learning in this unit. How do you produce this kind of reference listing? You'll notice that there are many elements here, right? There are commas, there are periods, there's this and symbol, there's capitalization, there's lowercase letters, there's italics, 斜体, right? There are parentheses, 括号. There's even an in-dash, 范围号. There's also one more thing that you probably did not notice. There are spaces, 空格. All of these are important. In order to get a good score on your research essay, every single thing must be perfect. So you have to pay attention to details. To help you with that, let's do some practice. This is the correct version. I'm going to show you some incorrect versions and see if you can figure out where are the mistakes. Okay, what's wrong with this one? You see it? Okay, yeah, where? 看你点头. Where? No, that's correct. We're looking at punctuation. 标点符号. Anyone see it? Let me show you. It was missing a comma at the end of that quotation. This is the level of detail. 我直接跟你们讲，这个单元非常龟毛，你们会气死。Let's do this. Let's try again. Why is this one wrong? Do you see it? If you see it, raise your hand. Okay, here. Too far out. There was an extra space. Okay, let's try again. Why is this one wrong? You see it? Yeah? The second quotation mark. Be one double quotation, not two single quotations. 应该是一个双引号，不是两个单引号。Okay, what's wrong with this one? You see it? Yeah? Okay. Don't tell me. Aren't. Women like me aren't. That apostrophe. 那个撇号要弯曲。What's wrong with this one? And, okay, I know you see it. Anyone else see what's wrong with this one? At the end of the quotation, and lowercase s. Okay, what's wrong with this one? You see it? Yeah? There's an extra space right here. I think this is the last part. What's wrong with this one? You see it? Yeah? The end of the quotation, right? There's an extra space before that quotation. Good, you're starting to notice the details. This is the level of detail you must have to do well on this unit. Okay, so let's begin with how to do this. As we saw, there are two parts, right? One part is in the middle of your essay, the other part is at the end of your essay. Let's talk about the first part. How do you present the citation tag? In the middle of your essay, how do you tell the reader that this is not your idea, it belongs to someone else? There are two ways. There are two ways to use other people's ideas. The first way is simply to use the idea and not the language. We call this paraphrase in Chinese, cont'd. So these are other people's ideas, but using your language, using your words. Most of your citations will be using paraphrase. There are two ways to tell the reader that these ideas belong to someone else. It depends on the grammar and the importance of this fact. If the main point of this part of your essay is to present someone else's idea, you can use the citation tag as your subject, 当主词. Right? So in this first sentence, a Roosevelt and a heavy are the subject of this sentence. The verb is mentioned, and then after the word that is the idea that you are using. Usually this sentence will begin a new paragraph, and the entire paragraph will be talking about their idea. Now, sometimes you're not spending the whole paragraph talking about the idea. You're only mentioning it very briefly, like, oh, so this is related to this other idea, and this other idea comes from this person. In this case, you can use the second way, which is to write a regular, normal sentence, and then at the end, use parentheses, 括号, to insert the citation tag. Now, if you use the second way, again, pay attention to details. The parentheses come before the period. The period always comes at the end of the sentence, with one exception that we will talk about later. Also, if you're using it as the subject of your sentence, you write the word and. But if you're putting it in parentheses at the end of your sentence, you use the and symbol. The name of this symbol is the ampersand. But it doesn't mean and. Finally, one last detail. If you're using it as the subject of your sentence, it is simply name or names, parentheses, year. But if you're putting it at the end of your sentence, it is name or names, comma, year. Comma, space, year. So that's how you write a paraphrase citation tag. The second main strategy of presenting other people's information is not just to present their information, but also also to use their words, to use their language to present that information. Usually, you will only do this if you think that their language is a problem and you want to discuss their language, or if you cannot find a better way to say what they're saying. You might as well use their way of saying it. Again, there are two things you can do. Oh, sorry. So the standard way of doing this is as in this example here. So again, you can put it at the beginning or you can put it at the end. In both of these examples, you're putting it at the beginning. Your quotation mark, every word in between your quotation marks must be exactly the same as in the original source. Basically, if it's inside of quotation marks, it's basically just copy and paste. You cannot change anything. And then if you do provide a quotation, you have to give me the location inside that source. So, for example, in this example, the quotation comes from page 998. So, end of quotation, no period, space, parenthesis, P for one page, PP for more than one page, period for abbreviation, 这个是缩写体 space, page number, parenthesis, period to end the sentence. You can see why most of the time you will only paraphrase. If you paraphrase, you don't need to provide a page number. That's not exactly true, but you are undergraduate students, you don't need to care about the details. Basically, if you paraphrase, you don't need to provide a page number. Now you might be thinking, but what if I'm using an online source and there are no page numbers? Okay? Then you have to provide the name of the section. 小节标题. But what if the sections have no names? Then you have to count paragraphs. 你要数段落，刚刚提供多么好。You have to give me the location of the quotation. Now, I said you cannot change anything inside of the quotation marks. But what if you have to? What if the quotation does not fit your grammar? Or what if the quotation has lots of extra information that you don't want to include? There are ways to modify a quotation, but you must let the reader know that you are changing the quotation, that these words are not the exact words that the author used. If you need to add words, use brackets. 中括号. In Chinese, we don't use brackets, right? 中文没有使用中括号的时候. But in English, brackets are used to tell the reader that I have added this word. It doesn't belong to the original author. I have added it. Right? So the original sentence is great roles in raising proficiency. But you have added the to make it become great roles in raising the proficiency. So that's how you add things. How do you take away things? You have to use an ellipsis. 三节号. An ellipsis is a space, period, space, period, space, period, space. 3 periods, 4 spaces. So the original sentence is proficiency and efficiency of the students. And then in the second sentence, you have taken away the words and efficiency. So it becomes proficiency of the students. There is no limit to how much you can take away using ellipsis. The only limit is that you should not change the meaning of the original sentence. No matter what you add, no matter what you take away, you should not change the meaning of the original sentence. That is dishonest. That means you are presenting a false picture of what that person said. Now, if the part you are taking away comes at the end of your sentence, no, same thing. Sorry, I was thinking about something else. Oh, yes, so are we clear about how to present information inside of your essay? Do you have questions about this part? Okay, let's take a short break, and when we come back, wait, hang on. I think I need to say this. I just said this, yes, I just said this. So use paraphrase generally. Only use quotations when, number one, you want to discuss the language. Number two, it's the same language that everybody uses. Or number three, you can't find a better way to talk about it. You might as well use the original way. Okay, let's take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about this one exception to putting the period at the end of the sentence. 六层，我可以跟你聊一下吗？Oh, I should tell you guys, we're going to talk about this for 2 weeks. Look, there are 70 slides. This is a very long presentation. So be ready. OK， 所以请简单说一下你的名字跟你说的课程。是这边，然后那个老师，OK， 好，所以你有使用那个 argument 单元的 GPT 的自动反应，可以说一下你如何使用。你有对他什么指示吗？他其实上传的时候，你的文章写的完整程度大概有什么？好，热球，基本 idea 这个上去了，有在修稿还是连接开完？那所以在这之前，你有请100个人 AI 帮你修改的。好，所以你上传了，然后它吐出来的结果，昨天有看过。那你觉得它那个执行的部分累进？所以他给的建议，你觉得就是有用吗？还有这个实际去使用吗？所以他给建议的是还是中间有列过哪一个点还要落实？ 你们还没有拿期中考卷的话，可以来这边找。王叔有来吗？医生，你有来拿你的考卷吗？你的小雨，哎，我可以跟你聊聊。 Okay, let's continue. So we were just talking about paraphrase and quotation marks. But according to APA style, if your quotation is a very long quotation, which means if you have at least 40 words, then you have to use a special kind of format called a block quotation. In Chinese, we just call this 长篇笔记. So if you look at this example, the edge of the paper is here. Your block quotation should be indented once. 要缩排一次. Some other things to pay attention to. You will notice that there are no quotation marks. The indentation itself tells us it is a quotation. So you don't need to add quotation marks. Finally, you will notice at the end, this is the only time you will put the period in front of the citation tag. Right? It's period, space, parentheses. This is the only time you will do this. Every other use case, the period will go at the end. Only this one, the period comes before the parentheses. After the end of your quotation, you just go back to writing your essay as usual. Now, this example does not begin from the beginning of a new sentence. This is in the middle of a sentence. It's a lowercase. This is one way you can do this. So these words, according to Siegel and Hartzell, are your words. And you have provided the author's names and the year. Starting from their words, you indent. This is more than 40 words. At the end, if this is the end of the sentence, add a period. If it is not the end of the sentence, you don't have to add a period. You can continue your general sentence using your own words. It's like a regular quotation, right? You can use it as part of your sentence. You can end your sentence when the quotation ends, or you can continue your sentence after the quotation ends. And then this is the full reference of this course. Questions? Okay. Now, if the examples I've been showing you have all had two authors, right? Siegel and Hartzell. The previous example was Arujlu and Henry, two authors. If you have three or more authors, you have to cite them differently. Instead of writing out the surname of every author, you write the surname of the first author, and then you add et al. Et al is Latin. It stands for et alia, which means and others. Why do we, or in Chinese, it's 等人. Why do we use Latin? As I said, citation styles are hundreds of years old. And hundreds of years ago, the lingua franca, the global language, was not English. It was French. And before French, it was Latin. So we will sometimes still use Latin phrases in citation styles. Now, et al is short for et al, which means this period is an abbreviation point, as the associated. You have to have this period to tell the reader this is not the full word. This is a shortened version. So if you cite at the beginning of your sentence, if you use the citation tag as your subject, write the surname of the first author, no comma, et al, period, space, and then parenthesis the year. If you put the citation tag at the end of the sentence, this is kind of weird, but this is correct. Surname of the author, first author, et al, period, comma. If you remember, there was already a comma here. Right? There was already a comma here. Now you are just adding the period from the all. So et al. Period, comma, space. And then the year. When you get to the end of your essay and you write the full reference item, then you list out every person as usual. If you have more than 20 authors, then first of all, why do you have more than 20 authors? Are you writing about physics? Are you writing about science? Okay, but if you do have more than 20 authors, list the first 19 authors, add an ellipsis, sending right? Space, period, space, period, space, period, space, and then list the last author. You probably don't need to use that information, but if you do need it, I have just given it to you. You can rewatch this video to remind yourself, or you can talk to me. Questions about this? The whole PowerPoint is on Moodle. You can always go back to look at this. Okay, now, before I get into like the end reference list, I want to point out some of the keys on the keyboard that may come in handy. If you need to indent, don't hit the space bar, hit tab. Especially if you're using Microsoft Word, tab once will indent all of the way that you need. This key is, of course, the quotation marks. Type this for single quotation marks, hold shift, and then type it for double quotation marks. This key is brackets, so type it regularly for brackets. If you hold shift and type it, it will give you large brackets, stop all. We don't use those. Those are used only in time. This key is the print screen system request key. System request is no longer something that we need to use, but print screen will now give you a screenshot. 可以帮你截取画面，截图。Hit print screen here. Let me show you. I'm now going to type print screen. Nothing happened, right? It is now copied to the keyboard. You just have to find somewhere to paste the picture. So you don't have to use some fancy screenshot tool. You can just press Control Screen, print screen, and then paste it somewhere. Okay, two more keys that we're going to use later. This key and this key. These two keys are not the same. There's one specific difference, which we will talk about a bit later. This key is used to type 4 different things. If you type it regularly, if you just type it, it will give you a hyphen in the home. If you hold shift and then type it, it will give you an underscore, 底线. And if you use this key in a very specific way, it can also give you an end dash, 范围号, and an end dash, 破折号. Now, there are a few ways to type out the special dashes, and we will talk about that later. But if you use this key, the way to produce a dash is different from if you use this key. There are some things you can only use this key. There are some things you can only use this key. So they look the same, but they're not actually the same. Okay. Now, quotations and italics. This is I think it's a bit different from Chinese. So please pay attention. In English, italics, 斜体字, are used for a number of things. The first one is emphasis, 强调. In Chinese, to emphasize something, we put it in quotation marks. Right? 中文的强调是放在引号里面。English is different. English is italics, 用斜体来强调. So, like this example, Taylor Swift's music is very good. No, Taylor Swift's music is very good, right? 强调, emphasis. The second place to use italics is in the title of a complete work. Some things are part of other things. A song is part of an album. An essay is part of a book. Those are incomplete works. For the whole thing, so like the whole album or the whole book, that is a complete work. And the title, you should use italics to present the title. So an album is a complete work. So in this example, the album title, Midnight, is in italics. The third thing is internal fonts. If you say something, use quotation marks. If you think something, use italics. And can you tell? This comma, is this comma italicized? 这个逗点有斜体吗? The answer is no. Let me show you. Let's see if you can see this. Oh, sorry, the answer is yes. That's correct. Yes, it is. It is italicized. Let's see if you can tell the difference. Okay, sorry, I wonder what that is. So I can't change it, but there is a difference. In fact, if you pay close attention, you can even tell whether a period is italicized or not. 连句点有个斜体看起来都不太一样。Pay attention. And then finally, the last thing to say about italics is, what if you have italics inside italics? So like in a quotation, right? Sometimes in your quotation, you will quote somebody else. Like if you say, if I tell you, I heard John say blah, blah, blah. The words that I say are in double quotation marks, and the words that John say are in single quotation marks. Right? So quotation within a quotation, single quotation. What about italics within italics? What if you have the title of a book, and in this title, it uses the title of another book? For example, there is a very famous novel called Ulysses by James Joyce. It is very hard to understand. Many people have written many books about it. So you will have a book titled like A Companion to James Joyce's Ulysses. So the whole title includes the title of another book. In this case, the main part of the title will be in italics, and the title of Ulysses will be in Roman, 直体. So italics within italics, Roman, take away the italics. 如果你斜体当中需要斜体，就是不是双倍斜体，是互相抵消。所以一般是直体，有时候需要斜体。如果你斜体里面也要斜体，又变回直体。Right? It's an alternation. Good. Okay, so that's italics. Quotation marks are used for quotations. That's the name of the mark. But also special meanings. If you want to talk about the language, you should also put that language in quotation marks. In this case, you don't have to say where you find it. You don't have to say what is the source, because you're talking about the language. You're not treating it as a quotation. You're treating it as a target of analysis. 这种引用方式不是把它当做人家讲过的话，是把它当做你要分析的对象。那个语言本身是你要分析的对象。So, for example, literature scholars use the word irony to mean something different. So we're now talking about this word, not the meaning. We're talking about the word. So you can use quotation marks for that as well. These are called scare quotes because when you read and you hit these quotation marks, that means that the way the author is using this word is probably different from the way that you usually use the word. And so it's kind of a joke that students will often get scared when they realize that the meaning of the word is not what they expect. Finally, if the thing you're talking about is not a complete work. If, for instance, in this example, it is a song and the song is part of an album, so the song itself is not the complete work. The album is the complete work. Then the title of the song should be put inside quotation marks. If you're talking about an essay that appears in a magazine, then the title of the essay should be in quotation marks, and the title of the magazine should be italicized. Questions about this page? I see some of you are starting to fall asleep. That's a good sign. It's a good sign that you feel sleepy, because it means you're using your brain. Your brain also needs exercise. This is also why people fall asleep in my prayer class. Okay. Hyphens and dashes. We just talked a little bit about this. 3 different symbols using the same key on the keyboard. Each symbol has a slightly different meaning. Each symbol has a very different meaning. Hyphens, 连接号, these are used to connect 2 parts of one word. So, for example, eagle eye in Chinese, 鹰眼, which means that they have very good vision. Or pre-war, 战前. These are eagle-eyed is one word. Pre-war is one word, but there are 2 parts. And these 2 parts are connected with a hyphen. That's why in Chinese we call this 连接号. And you just have to type the key, that's it. I guess the bigger question is, when do you need to use a hyphen? When do you not need it? And the answer is, check a dictionary. Okay, next one, N dash. In Chinese we call this 范围号 because it is used to show a range from A to B, from page 51 to page 77, or like a railway line, a railroad line, from Taipei to Kaohsiung, right? It's a range. The other place you should use an N dash is, again, to form one word, but this word has 3 parts. A war, okay, the Civil War, think that. This is one word. It looks like 2 words, it is one word. Here's how you can tell. Civil means polite. So, Civil War does not mean a polite war. Therefore, this is not 2 words, this is 1 word. So if you need to do this, but one part of your word looks like 2 words, then instead of a hyphen, you should use an N dash. Right? This looks like 1 word, so it's a hyphen. This looks like 2 words, even though it's 1 word, so you use an N dash. We have something similar in Chinese. 3点水1个里，怎么念？里外的里的右边，所以其里无比成的里，3点水1个里面。 排比念两个字的音，但是你是一个字。Same thing here. Simple form looks like two words, it's actually one word. Now, it's called an n dash, and this longer one is called an m dash, because an n is narrower than an m. An m is bigger than an n. So the longest one is an m dash, the middle longest one is the n dash, and the shortest one is the hyphen. How do you type an n dash? If you use the calculator on the right, if you use this, okay, hang on, first of all, it's different in Microsoft Word and in Google Docs. Google Docs, it's very easy. Just type two hyphens. 打两个连接号，它就会自动连起来。So easy. Microsoft Word is a little bit harder. There are two ways to do this in Microsoft Word. The first way is to hold Control and then type minus on the right. Not this one. Not this one. You have to use this one on the right. Hold Control, type minus. It'll give you an n dash. Let me see if this will work. Okay, you can't tell. Actually, a Chinese font. Let me give you this is a hyphen. This is an dash. Okay, so that's the first. The second way, for some reason, some versions of Microsoft Word, the first way doesn't work. I don't know why. So you should know that there's a second way. Any random letter, space, hyphen, space, any random letter, space. Let me demonstrate. Any random letter, space, hyphen, space, letter, watch, space. Comes up by that dash. Should I do that again? Any random letter, space, hyphen, space, any random letter, watch, space. Okay, so that's an n dash. You're going to use this because you will often need to tell readers the page number range, from which page to which page, and you will need the n dash. Last one here is the m dash in Chinese, 破折号. In English, we use this to interrupt the sentence. This is actually kind of a grammar cheat. This is what I'm trying to do. The grammar in front of an m dash and the grammar after an m dash do not have to match. The m dash resets the grammar. 前后文法不用重合，它是破折的破就是这个意思。There is one exception. In English, there's always an exception. The one exception is okay. So, okay, I think I need to give you a real sentence. Okay. In this sentence, this is extra information, right? The main idea is their students. I'm giving you the slightly more extra information that this is what I believe. So this is extra information, it is not important. In English, there are 3 ways to tell the reader this is extra information. You can use 2 commas. If the information is really not important, you can use 2 parentheses. So 2 parentheses is the weakest, than 2 commas. But if the information is important, then you use 2 end dashes. Now is a great time to demonstrate how do you type end dashes. Again, in Google Docs, it is incredibly easy. Type 3 hyphens, hyphen, hyphen, hyphen. It will become an end dash. Somebody please complain to Microsoft. Why can't we just do this in Microsoft Word? But in Microsoft Word, you have to type any random letter, hyphen, hyphen, any random letter, and a space. Let me show you. Okay, so any random letter, the Y, hyphen, hyphen, any random letter, the I, and then Y. Let me do that again. Any random letter, the E, hyphen, any random letter, the A, space, and it becomes an end dash. So the third way to tell your reader that this middle part is extra information is to use 2 end dashes. This is the strongest version. This tells the reader it is important, but it is technically extra information. 就是它是补充资讯，但我觉得这补充的很重要，所以我用后者号来凸显。Now, one more thing to pay attention to. NB is some more Latin. It means nota bene, which means pay attention. In Chinese, we sometimes have this kind of sentence structure, right? This dash is telling you that John is my friend is John, these 2 are the same person. In English, we don't use dashes for that. In English, we use commas. 2 commas. Technically, the name is extra information. So you put it in between 2 commas. In grammar, this is called a positive comma. 同位语, okay. 同位, which means that in front of the comma and behind the comma, these 2 are meaning the same thing. These 2 are the same. Okay, yeah, so for this kind of sentence, please do not use dashes in English. Questions about this page? Okay, that concludes the first half of this unit. The part about how do you record the citation information in the middle of your essay. Now we move on to how do you write a reference item. This comes at the end of your essay. Okay, so let me point out the key points. You begin with the last name of the first author. Okay, yeah, so here. This is a picture of the website where I found this paper. So these 2 authors, George D. Lovell and Charles F. Painter. You begin with the last name of the first author, Lovell, comma, because this is the last name, but you're putting it first. So you should use a comma to tell your reader the order has changed. I'm putting the last name first. So last name of the first author, comma, space. And then his name is George D. But we don't write the first name, we abbreviate it into letters. Right? George D becomes GD. G, period, space, D, period. So that's the end of the first name, comma, and then the next name, and then comma, and the next name. And before the final person's name, add an and symbol. So comma, space, and symbol, space. And then again, his name is Charles F. Painter. Begin with the last name, Painter, comma, space. Charles F. becomes CF. C period, comma, C period, space, F period. That is the end of the names. Then you add the year. The year is here. First published October 1, 1955. So this is the year. Parenthesis, 1955, parenthesis, period. A lot of people forget this period. There's a period here. After the year, at this period. Next, you have the title of this paper, the title of this essay. Here. This essay is called Forced Choice Applied to College Faculty Grading. What does this mean? I have no idea, but that's the title. In APA 7th citation style, the title of the essay is capitalized as a regular sentence. So, capital first word. If there are names or proper nouns, 专有名词, those are also capitalized, and then period. So you see, originally, this is capitalized like a title, right? Nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, first word. But in APA style, you only capitalize it as a sentence, not as a title. 就是英文你写标题的时候，是名词、动词、形容词跟副词都要大小，还有第一个字也要大小，right？ 所以就是它原本是这样的大小。但是用 APA 700应用格式呢，你就把它当做一般的英文句子，第一个字和任何专有名词要大小，其他都小写。And then add a period. Space. I know you can't see this, but there is a space after this period. Space. Next. You want the title of the journal. Okay, so usually academic essays are published in one of two kinds of places. The essay is either part of a book or it is part of a journal. A journal is just a collection of essays. The main difference is that a book will have some kind of topic, but the journal will not. So the papers in the journal have more variety. This paper was taken from a journal, so we now have to give the title of the journal, this one. Educational and Psychological Measurement is the title of the journal. In APA 7 style, you capitalize this as a title, and then you put it in italics. 用标题大小写法，名词、动词、形容词、副词、专有名词第一个字。然后写 then a comma, space, then you want the volume and issue number, 第几卷、第几期 because it's a journal, 是期刊 so you will have volume and issue, 卷跟期 it's here, volume 15, issue 3. The volume is still italicized. The italics go from the beginning of the title to the end of the volume. 写体是从期刊标题开始，到第几卷的卷号结束，中间都是写体 ，including this comma， 这个逗点也是写体。And then the issue number is Roman 实体 parenthesis issue 3 parenthesis comma. Space, and then the next one is the page range. From which page to which page, it's here. So from page 291 to 304. So 291, end dash, 范围号, 304, period. Space, there's another space here. And the last thing is the web address. Walton. If you have a web address. Not every source will have a web address. Maybe you find it in the library, you're flipping through a physical book, then you don't need the web address. But if you find something online, you should give the web address, especially if it is what we call a DOI. Right? You see, the web address has these three letters, DOI. DOI stands for Digital Object Identifier, 数位物件认证码. The idea idea is that this is the ID number for this paper. If you go to the EOI webpage and you put in this number, it will lead you to this page. So especially if it has a DOI web address, copy the DOI web address and paste it. Now, sometimes you will see a DOI address that says, what was it? doi.x.org or like x.doi.org. You can take out the x. The x doesn't matter. The basic DOI web address just looks like this. HTTPS, there should be an S here. :/doi.org/ and then the ID number. Sometimes the ID number will include letters. This one is just numbers, but sometimes there will also be letters. Last thing, no period. There is no period. Do not add the period after the DOI. APA style says if you have a web address, do not add a period after a web address. 王子后面请不要加period. So far, so good. This is just information. I'm just walking you through the information. Now, there is one other thing that maybe you did not notice. Starting from line 2, this is indented. So here, I'm going to not line 1, right? When we write an essay and we begin a paragraph, usually the first line will be indented. No, when you write a reference, the second line and after is indented. This is called hanging indentation. How do you do this? So let me show you a few things. You'll also notice that this is double spaced, 2倍行距, right? There's an empty line in the middle. So if you don't know, this is where you adjust the line spacing. In Chinese, this is 段落. Look for this symbol and then select 2.0. You may have to highlight them. The standard is we use Times New Roman, and we use 12-point font, Okay, and this is how you use hanging. This is what hanging indentation looks like. Okay? This is one stop in front. This is Microsoft Word. This is Google Docs. It's one stop in front. So how do you do this? You can, if you want, call out the ruler, and you can just like drag the arrows so that it matches the ruler. But there is an easier way to do this in Microsoft Word. In Google Docs, you have to adjust the arrows. But in Microsoft Word, again, paragraph, and then hit this expand arrow. Or you can highlight the part you want to change, and then right click and select paragraph. Either way, it will open up this menu. Look for indentation, 缩排, special, 特殊. Pull down and select hanging, 凸排, also the 凸排, and then press OK. So let me show you. Okay, so currently it's regular, no indentation, right? Home, paragraph. Home, go away. Home, paragraph, expand, indentation, special, hanging. Okay, watch. Ta-da, it goes inside. you by clicking on the right click, you'll get paragraph. Same menu. Okay. So that's how you do that. Okay. Should we do this now, or do you want to do this after you forget everything next week? Let's do this now. This is correct, except for there is no double spacing and there is no hanging indentation. Everything else is correct. Are you ready? Okay. What's wrong with this one? Look at the name. There should be a space between each letter. Okay, the next one. What's wrong with this one? You see it? The year, right? At the end of the year, there should be a period. Okay, next one. What's wrong with this one? Title, right? The title. The title should use sentence capitalization, not title capitalization. So it should only be the first word and any proper nouns. 第一个字跟专有名词。What's wrong with this one? The subtitle, 副标题, should be the same as the title. First word, proper nouns. Next, what's wrong with this one? You see it? The journal title, right? It should be first word, proper nouns, and all nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Next, what's wrong with this one? See it? Here, right? The volume number. And the comma. Don't forget this comma. The comma and the volume number should be italicized. Next, on this one. The page range, right? This should not be a hyphen. This should be an end dash. That's all. What's wrong with this one? The very end, right? After a weather crest, do not add this period. No periods. Let's go. Okay. Questions? Okay, so next, well, we should do this now, right? While you still remember. Okay, take out a piece of paper.第一关，你是作文写2页，对不对？是你吗？有人作文写2页，我就写1页，我只拿走1页。蓝色字体。Okay, we'll figure that out later. Ready? Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes. Here is all of the information. Please write a correct citation. You can skip the DOI, 王子不用写，那个直接复制贴上。Everything else, please write a correct citation. Okay, in Chinese, 姓名字缩写，逗点 n 好，姓逗点名字缩写，年份标题名字文章标题，期刊标题，第几卷第几期，第几页开始，第几页结束。2 more minutes. Absolutely. 对啊，看你注意的时间在哪里？对，需要的这个数据。Do you need more time? 还需要时间去走。Okay, 30 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.5, 1, 0.75. Okay, time's up. The first one, names, right here. Last name, comma, initial of the first name period, space, initial of the middle name period, comma, space, and second name. Last name, comma, space, initial of the first name period, space, initial of the middle name period, space. Second thing, year, here or here, either one is fine, year. Parenthesis, year, parenthesis, period. Third thing, title of the essay, capital F. Everything else is lowercase, period, space. Fourth thing, journal title. Capitalize educational, psychological measurement. This should be in italics, comma. Fifth thing, volume number, 15. End italics. Sixth thing, issue number, parenthesis, 3, parenthesis, comma, space. Seventh thing, page range, 291, end dash, 304, period, space. And then the last thing is the DOI waivers. If you got everything correct, raise your hand. If you missed one thing, raise your hand. Good. If you missed two things, raise your hand. 3 things? 4? Okay, so now you know what you should practice. Yeah, okay, so let's stop here. We'll continue next week.